You ready? All right, go ahead and call to order the USD 489 Board of Education meeting for Monday, November 12th, 2018. First thing on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda. Second.
Been moved by Board Member Schwartz, second by Board Member Bickle. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes 7-0. Next, we'll open it up for audience participation. All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Next thing we have is communications from other organizations. These include the Hayes Rec Commission October agenda and minutes. And then we also will have the Hayes Middle School Tech TA presentation.
Go ahead. We can do that now.
You guys are up.
Hi, I'm Celia Brooks, and this is Abigail Boyer, and we're here to talk about the technology used at the middle school.
Students use iPads for many different reasons, and they have opportunities for teachers and students to express. Some following reasons use iPads could be data collection, projects, instant feedback, organization, accommodations, and productivity. Formative assignment tools. Some apps we use such as quizzes, Kia, Canvas quizzes, Quizlet, Kahoot, and Socrative. Most of these apps like Kia, Quizlet, Socrative, and Canvas quizzes provide tests for us to take, and quizzes, Canvas quizzes, Kahoot, and Quizlet provide help for us to study for any upcoming tests. There's also apps that help progress and monitor our percentages like iStation, STAR testing, and accelerated math. It's also easier to collect and monitor student data and more frequently implementation. Here are some examples of data collection. For math and big ideas, teachers can go on their computers and look up how many kids took the test and how many got them right and wrong. The green means the percentage of how many kids got all the problems correct. The yellow means the amount of kids that got both right and wrong answers. And the red means how many kids got most of the questions wrong. And also in ELA, we do Canvas quizzes, statistics. Teachers can go on their iPads or computers and look up if we took a test on Canvas, what percentages we got. As you can see, the average score everybody got was around 83%, and the high score was around 100. And the low score was around 14%. We can also do projects on our iPads, which allows us to show off our creativity in many different ways. Some variety of apps we use are Adobe apps, iMovie, Clips, and a lot of others. Apps, when they allow us to do projects, like I said, they allow us to express our creativity in most classes around the area. We use some of them in core classes and electives such as art and music. In science right now, we are doing animal studies and also gizmos. In social studies, we're doing important Kansas figures. In math, we're doing growth mindset research projects, which we do at the end of every 9 weeks. In ELA, we're starting I Have a Dream speeches. In art, we're doing artist presentation. And in music, we're doing listening assignments and playing tests. Some example projects we do is in science, we do gizmos. This picture shows birds hunting moths on light and dark trees. As you capture the moths more easily visible against the tree surface, the moth populations change, illustrating the effects of natural selection. And in social studies, we're doing a Kansas person project. And here is a video of a fellow student's project on Jockey Styles.
Today's presentation is brought to you by Brent Connect on Jockey Styles. Jockey Styles is a well-known Kansas board basketball player. She has one younger sister named Roxanne Styles.
And that's just a little quarter of what we did in social studies. And also with iPad, we can get instant feedback from teachers and also students. When teachers grade an assignments, we can get students instantly get an iPad notification and can see their grades and teacher comments. Students, when we have any questions, we can also answer back and reply to them if we have any further information we need to be known. Homework quizzes and tests can also be given on iPads, and students would instantly know what percentage and what grade they got.
There's also another big part of technology is organization. It helps students and teachers have to keep track of fewer papers, and the Canvas calendar provides an electronic agenda so you can know what you're doing that day and what homework you have that day. And apps like Notability allow students to organize and categorize homework. You can add images, voice notes, and an infinite number of pages. And then students also use the Reminders app to schedule assignment reminders, and some teachers utilize Remind to notify students and parents of upcoming events that they have. Some examples are, this is a Canvas calendar, and the one that has a line through it is the assignment that a student already completed, and the others are ones that aren't yet completed. And the other picture is of the Notability files. You can arrange it by class, and you can put certain files into the certain classes. And accommodations is also part of the iPad use, and iPads provide a more discrete implementation of alternate versions of tests. If a student needs an easier form of a test, they don't have to have other people know that they need that test. They can just click it and put in the password for that test on websites like Kia. And there are also various programs so you can change reading levels of text. And there's voice-to-text and listening accommodations for students as well. And productivity, the teachers can monitor on-task behavior with Apple Classroom so they can see what the students are doing while they're in that class. And there's also a quicker output and completion of projects, meaning there's more time in the classroom for the students to learn more and to have more time for homework maybe. And then there's also easier collaboration for group projects, like if you're doing a PowerPoint, more than one person can work on the PowerPoint at once. And here's an example for Apple Classroom. This is one of the teacher's classes. At the end of the class, you can see what all apps the students use and how many students used each app. And here are a few different students. And one of the students was on Hoopla for 5 minutes, and you can track how long the students were on each app.
To sum it all up, students and teachers can help with more homework on iPads every day to make class time more effective and efficient. The use of technology will help students be more prepared when entering the workforce, which is largely dominated by technology. And some students like us are already getting to find areas and interests that could lead to a career in technology field. Thank you.
Good job, ladies. You're part of the Tech TA then, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, super.
Thank you.
Any questions?
So what do you do as tech TAs? What do you do as a tech TA?
We just help out around the school if anyone has any tech problems or if their iPad's doing all sorts of whack that they need help with.
And students can submit an online tech ticket that we'll receive in our email, and then they'll tell us what class they're in right now and what their next class is, and what the problem with their iPad is, and so we can go to their classroom and help them fix it. And then there are also 4 groups in the TA. There's website, graphic design, tutorials, and apps. And the website, we made a student life website on the HMS website, And then there's the graphic design makes posters and thank you cards and stuff like that. And then the tutorials group makes videos instructing like how to use apps like Canvas and Notability. And then the apps has so far helped program a robot for one of the classes.
Very good. So do you help teachers as well as other students?
Yeah,
Yep.
if they need help with it.
Who needs help more, teachers or students? You don't have to answer. Okay. And so now, are you each repair people, or which part of the TA are you on?
We're both websites.
Yeah.
You're both websites. Great. So how many of you total are there at the school?
22 or 23, I think.
Around that.
Okay. Great. Glad you're getting the technology. We need you at the university. Come forward and see what we can do for you.
Thank you, ladies.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll have the O'Laughlin Elementary Site Council.
Yeah, if you remember, as they come up, we typically you get at the end of the year just written site council reports. So we are trying something different, and we will have each building once a month. O'Laughlin they're brave and took our first month, so thank you. We thought it would be more personal for them to come and share, and then you can interact. So we are trying that this year so that you can keep abreast of what's happening at the various buildings. So O'Laughlin, thank you for being here. We will tag team the presentation. So
Okay, I am Vicki Guile, the principal at O'Laughlin Elementary, and I've brought three ladies with me tonight to we wanted to show you what we've done so far this year. We're really excited and want to celebrate a lot of the work that we've done, so we're going to soar through some of the things. You may have to go like this and when it's time to stop talking, I guess. So anyway, one of the first things two of the things that we're going to look at tonight are our KISA accreditation program that's going on throughout the whole district, and also the Foundations Champs training that we've been doing for 2 years. But one of the things that both of those programs ask us to do is to celebrate, and so the first few slides here are just some of the celebrations, like I said, that we've had since the beginning of the school year. One of the things that we do is we really go ahead and celebrate success, academic success with students in the classroom. Each teacher does something a little different. This particular sample is something that actually Ms. Danielson put together, and a lot of what we do is shown over Seesaw so that parents get to see it, or parents are invited in to take part in the celebrations that we have. So this is just a small example of the type of things that we do to motivate our students and try to get them to really have a love of reading. A couple other things that we have is we've had a lot of ladies that have been really successful with grants this year, and why that's so relevant for us is that they're really adding a lot to our programs. They're again going back to the KISA accreditation. A lot of what we're writing the grants for is really going to help us with that piece. One big grant that we had was Christy O'Borney, our librarian and 4th and 5th grade teacher, wrote a grant so that in February we are going to have a whole school book club that includes the parents. The parents, each child will get a book to take home, and we'll have a book study with parents and kids and have it school-wide with activities. So we're really excited to see how that goes over for us. Another thing, some more ladies in the building that have done a great job is, for the last couple of years, we've had a lot of teachers that have applied for the Limeade for Learning grants through the Sonic. And this year we had 4 ladies that took the time to go ahead and write grant proposals, and all 4 of them have already been funded, and that includes anything from books for the classroom to flexible type seating that helps with the learning environment of each classroom. And so those are 3 things that we really wanted to celebrate, was just the success that we're having trying to add more to our school. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Danielson, and she'll go ahead and introduce herself and talk about some of the things we're doing in KISA.
Hi, I'm Denise Danielson. I teach 2nd and 3rd grade at O'Laughlin. I'm a member of the district leadership team and our building leadership team. As we entered year 2 of KISA, our staff has worked diligently to understand the process and our role as elementary teachers. During staff meetings, early release days, and in service, our staff has worked to learn the components of a successful high school graduate and our role as an elementary school to accomplish the results outcomes. The district decided on relationships and relevance for their 2 goal areas. This fall, we've been working to write our building goals. The staff reviewed our perceptions survey data from last year to begin the goal writing process. Using the Kansas Star indicators as guides, we have written 2 goals for relationships. We hope to complete the relevance goals during our early release this week. Once our goals are written, we will then write an action plan on how we hope to accomplish the goals and what data we will collect. In order to help with the individual plans of study, which is part of the results in KISA, this fall we held our first career day. As an elementary school, our role in the individual plans of study is to expose the students to a variety of careers. This year's event was entitled Careers on Wheels. The students rotated through 8 different stations learning about various careers: heating and air, tree trimming, recycling and street cleaning from the City of Hayes, National Guard, and farming services. We plan to continue this event yearly with different types of careers. As students move through O'Laughlin, they will have the opportunity to see many different career opportunities, and this way we will help prepare them to make educational plans for the future. Now on to our SOAR team.
Hi, my name is Nicole Collison. I'm a kindergarten first grade teacher at O'Laughlin, and I'm also on our foundations team and on our site council. So starting the year off, our foundations team did a lot of work getting our guidelines for success and our 5 common areas in place. Here you will see a poster of our guidelines for success. These are internalized values that we hope that our students really leave O'Laughlin with and model. We have utilized our morning news, and we have utilized counseling lessons to help model these guidelines, and then to also have discussions within each of our classrooms on these. The students then pledged to do their best to model these behaviors by placing a thumbprint on each of the letters in SOAR. And so the children really loved doing that, and you'll see this poster when you walk into our main lobby. Another huge thing that our foundations team did was we created videos for each of our 5 common areas. We wanted to be able to show the students exactly what expectations we had in each of our common areas. So we produced these posters that are placed all around our building for students to see. And here you can see an example of our playground and our hallway. Then each of the common areas, we worked really hard on videos. We made these videos fun and engaging. These are videos that our teachers can use to not only teach the expectations, but also to help review common areas as needed. Here we're going to show an example of our bathroom expectations.
disrespectful those rowdy rebels are, remember, we go into the back, we go in at a voice level 1 or 2. We keep our feet on the floor, and most importantly, we respect each other.
We had a lot of fun creating those videos. Moving forward, as a foundations team, our goal is to help our teachers and give them support with misbehaviors inside the classroom. One thing we've done to help support them so far is we've created a 3-tiered support system in which we have resources available to the teachers at each tier. And our goal moving forward is to kind of create some red flags so the teachers know when to place students into each tier and when to start interventions with some of their students. Okay, Renae will talk a little bit about our morning news.
I'm the last one. My name's Renae Burns, and I teach 2nd and 3rd grade at OLaughlin. I'm a member of the building leadership team and what else? The foundations team, and I create the morning news. I joined the foundations team last year in the middle of the year, and at that point they had worked extremely hard to develop the SOAR acronym. They had also put posters up and things like that, but we could not figure out how to get the kids to use the language and to know really what it all meant. So we had the morning news in the past a few years ago, and that teacher had moved away, and it wasn't ever really to provide lessons. It was more of a lunch menu, that type of a thing, and to show lost and found. So thinking back on that, I thought, well, that's a great way to show everyone what kindness looks like, how to do it, and so that's kind of where we headed. The first thing that you'll see that we implemented was at the very beginning of the year, we started day one with videos. And we wanted to show the S is show integrity. What does that look like and what does that mean? And we were expecting maybe by Christmas kindergartners could speak the language, and week 1, those little tiny little guys came out. That is showing integrity, or they would say, the cutest part was like, that is not showing integrity. So they definitely knew, and they're still using that language. So those videos will cycle through. You know, we did it the first 9 weeks, and now we'll do it again. And same with the common area videos. We'll put those in the morning news every day. So this is just an example of a real quick little clip of the integrity lessons. Oops.
Scenario 1. Your teacher steps out of the room to visit with a student. She leaves an open bag of yummy Skittles on her desk. Your best friends sneak a few. In this moment, how do you show integrity?
I would tell my friends that's not how you live with integrity. Don't take any. Don't take any.
Why not?
Because just because other kids are doing it, that doesn't mean you should do it. And it would be the bad thing to do. How you do the right thing. You don't steal the Skittles and stuff. I would tell them to stop eating the Skittles and put the ones that they hadn't eaten back. Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one's watching.
So we had some parents even say that they'd come back and they could recite this at home. So it was exciting that it wasn't just happening at school, but it was transferring over into their home life as well. Some of the things that we have included within the news, aside from these lessons, we included the reading and writing celebrations through Readers and Writers Workshop. A lot of character development lessons. I find a lot of them on even social media. Like, I don't know if any of you have seen the little bear climbing up to get to his mommy on the snowy mountain. Anybody seen that yet? No? Yeah. Okay. What I do is I silence it, and then I put my own lessons over it. So I speak over it, and like last week's lesson was perseverance, and what does that mean? And so it went along great with that video. I also find a lot through Kid President and some short films. We also have been able to showcase our bilingual students. So we've had our lunch menus and breakfast menus sometimes read in Spanish. We did a whole Red Ribbon Week lessons, bully prevention lessons. We had a really special 9/11 memorial news segment that was really cool, and it provoked so many wonderful questioning from a lot of the kids. So that was nice to see. A few years ago, we had the buddy bench purchased, and when we got the buddy bench, everyone knew what it was for, and we talked a lot about it. But then years went by, and the buddy bench just kind of sat there, sadly, all by himself. So we did a little explanation of what that should look like and what the purpose of that is for, and now it's used all the time. So Throwback Thursday is kind of the fun little piece of the news. I asked teachers to send me pictures of when they were students and show those every Thursday, and the students have to guess who it is, so that's always fun. We honored our veterans. Just last Friday we had a segment on that. Common area videos are cycled through for champs, the SOAR guidelines for success. We had a really neat one about kindness, where I found a song where it had like the dancing, where the words were written below, and it had the little dancing ball, and the students could then read along with it and sing along. And then I just took a bunch of pictures that teachers would send me showing of students in our school showing kindness. And then again, just motivational videos by Kid President and things like that. So as weeks continued, we had a lot of teachers and students wanting to be a part of the news, which has been great for me because it's not required so much work. So this is an example of Miss Knight's class, who has written all of the content for the news for the past few weeks. And they have come up with all the ideas. They even have a weather segment. So they have all this. So I wanted to see what a full segment looks like each morning that the students are watching the news.
Today's food from Friday is November 9th, and for lunch, French toast, sausage links, scrambled eggs, hash browns, mandarin oranges, and ice cream milk. Thank you, babe, and I'm all for lunch and breakfast. Good morning, America! Now for the weather. Today's weather will be sunny with a high of 37 and a low of 15 with a 10% chance of rain. Tomorrow's weather will be cloudy with a high of 33 and a low of 13 and a 20% chance of rain. Thank you, Dylan Jensen. Today on Veterans Day, once again, we would like to take this time to thank our veterans here in OLaughlin. Mrs. Mayer. Mrs. Mayer served from 1982 to 1996 in the Army National Guard and was stationed at Colorado, California, and Oklahoma. From all of us here at OLaughlin, thank you, Mrs. Mayer, for your service to our country.
November 11th is Veterans Day. Americans honor veterans, people who have served or currently serve in the U.S. military. What makes November 11th special? On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918, the battles of World War I ended. The Allied countries and Germany called the truce, also known as an armistice, and November 11th became known as Armistice Day. The following year, President Woodrow Wilson asked Americans to mark the anniversary of Armistice Day with a moment of silence in gratitude to the soldiers who had fought for peace. Americans did that and more. They held parades and other gatherings all across the country to publicly thank the World War I veterans. In 1954, Congress changed the holiday's name from Armistice Day to Veterans Day to recognize all soldiers who served in war or peace. Today, there are more than 23 million veterans in the United States. Do you know any veterans? How do you thank them?
So that's an example of what our news looks like every morning when they watch it. The morning news has stitched all of the individual fabrics, so Kisa and all the things going on in our building, into this beautiful, informational, and entertaining tapestry. This avenue of sharing information has allowed us to use a common language throughout the entire building, and we're all working towards the common goal of most time kindness, but we'll open for any questions.
So could parents or somebody else view the morning news, or is that just internal to the school?
That's what we're, right now, it's all unlisted, so it's just the teachers have access to the link, and that's just because we have several students who are, restricted and we don't want it to be on the website, but we're working towards that. We can't quite figure out how to get it to parents in a safe manner, so.
So is the iPads that you had, is that helping out with the kids doing a lot of the programming, creating?
They're doing a lot of research, but also I wouldn't say with the news as much. Right now, it's still a lot on my part. I'm compiling all the videos and things like that. Eventually, I'd like to see it get to that point, but again, right now, our goal is to really use it to get the lessons out. It's kind of become more fun, and the students are really interested in it, but it's still our underlying goal is to provide the lessons of kindness and things like that. So it's still kind of in the beginning stages, but.
And actually, you know, we talked, like she said, our big problem was is we could never get the kids to internalize those values. You know, when adults try to teach it and try to present it, it kind of goes in one side down the other. But no matter which classroom I've gone into this fall, I mean, it's just been amazing, the engagement. If the morning news is on, it is dead silent in the classroom, and the kids are totally tuned into what's on that screen, and they're watching the morning news. And so I think without having that, we probably wouldn't have the kids that are talking about responsibility or respect or integrity, anything like that. So this has definitely been more than we bargained for as far as the bang for our buck. We're getting a lot out of it, I think.
Okay. And have you had parents comment back on that during a parent-teacher conference about your lessons?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have as many parents as saying it because they're not really aware a lot of, I mean, they're using the language at home, but I'm not sure they're fully aware of that it's coming from the news. The teachers are talking about it constantly, and they're talking about it when they see students interacting with one another in the classroom. They're the ones that are really giving me a lot of feedback. So we're just trying to find the balance of, do we want it to go to like a news segment like what you saw with the students, or do we want to keep it as a academic and social emotional piece? We're just kind of struggling with where to go with it. We're kind of in the middle right now, but.
Yeah, but I think it'd be interesting to hear, maybe that's part of your inquiry, to see how you're building those relationships, see if parents are seeing those actions carried out by the students. I mean, it's great it's happening at the school,
right,
but the larger part for our community is what you see. So I'd encourage you to explore that a little bit more, investigate it, and come back with some measures that could be helpful.
Great.
Well, I just went back to your PISA goals because I know you had relationships, and your second one does talk about foster positive connections with families about our guidelines for success. So that's what. So
That's where I'm coming from.
There you go.
Yeah.
Remember that goal?
I do.
So so you will work this year to develop the action plan and how you can make that happen. So.
And really want to compliment you also for seeking out the external funding and the grants to extend and empower you to do what you do well. And at Career Day, I wish I'd known. I'd like to see those big wheels.
They're pretty cool.
Look pretty cool. But looks great. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I do have one question on this. On those rowdy girls, have they been disciplined, or are they still causing trouble?
That was not my idea, by the way. I was conned into that.
Renae, I noticed that you made a big mess.
No, I did not. I did not volunteer.
One lonely second grader had to pick up all that mess.
Yeah, I know.
And then her son was one of the
Both
boys
of
that
her
was
sons were in
behaving.
there.
So she's like, do as I say, not as I do, boys. So thank goodness they take after their dad. That's probably a good thing.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, we have two other items on our communications from other organizations, and they include Early Childhood Connections Policy Council meetings from September 24th, 2018, and the Early Childhood Connections Director's Report from October 29th, 2018. Does anybody have any questions on either of those?
Yeah, those other three were attached for you. So
Yeah. All right, moving on, school spotlights.
Yes, we have a few more things to spotlight, although we've been doing that, it seems like, since we got started this evening. Midwest Energy, another grant opportunity for our Migrant Program. $315 was awarded to our Migrant Program for Midwest Energy. We want to thank them. Starla Gano, who is our migrant liaison, she wrote the grant. And migrant students are those whose families are migratory in nature, so any extra support, the focus is really on keeping them on track to graduate and offering any math, reading, academic support we can. So as you read through that, you can see that this particular grant will allow for the purchase of some science, technology, reading, engineering, art, and math, some stream learning experiences with some learning labs. So thank you, Starla, for doing that to help meet the needs of that student population. We also want to make note that last week was the National Honor Society at Hayes High. They inducted 40 new members, 60 applications, so not everyone is accepted. It's a very stringent application process, so it's taken very seriously. They were honored at the lecture hall last Tuesday evening. Cheryl Shepard Adams is their sponsor. It is an anonymous selection application process, so we want to congratulate those 40 students. They are listed there below. The majority are juniors with a few seniors, so I won't read through that, but I do want to thank the sponsor, Mrs. Shepard Adams, and then all of those students. Congratulations to them. I will note, it wasn't on here, the Foreign Language Department does also have a National Hispanic Honor Society, so last Thursday evening they inducted some members into that as well. So that's also another opportunity for students to be recognized for their achievements. The next one on the spotlights then is the Project 49 follow-up. Again, a huge thank you to all the volunteers, attendees, and donors. It was our first annual Project 49 dinner show and auction to support the Hayes schools. It was a huge success. You could see there were many oral auction items and silent auction items. It's looking like the event, initial projections are showing grossing approximately $40,000, so that's not bad for a first time. With $7,800 being pledged towards the educational excellence, that particular project. So we did have raffle prize winners, and they're listed there. So we want to thank anyone and everyone who supported by buying a raffle ticket, showing up, donating an auction item. I know several of our board members were there. Thank you. Mandy worked hard, she and her husband as bartenders, and Lance worked with our IT and made everything go smoothly. And I know the rest of you, Mike and Luke, and those of you who were able to attend, Sophie bought some auction items. So what?
I didn't bartend or help with IT. I just ate food and drank.
Hey, we needed people to do that as well.
And bought things.
But thank you to the board members and the committee. They put in a lot of work. And we had some students help as well. We had the high school soccer team up there, and then we had an event planning class and the Helping Hands helped do some of the decorating. So Sarah, thank you. I know you spearheaded a lot of that and coordinated that, but it went really well. So thank you, everyone. We started winter sports today, but we want to make sure we recognize from the fall yet, Hayes Middle School football team, they captured the WAC championship. So congratulations to them on their undefeated season. They captured the conference championship by defeating Great Bend 54-0, and you can see there we outscored opponents 208-9. So back-to-back conference championships. So we wanted to spotlight them as well. I wanted to talk about, just briefly, we had a speaker come, being alert to social media dangers, how it's tied to human trafficking. So Russ Tuttle came. We worked with some other schools in the area, and so when he came was not ideal. It was election night. We had the National Honor Society, but we did have a nice turnout for the Caring Adult presentation that really talked about how vulnerable our students are through social media, all kids. So that was really the message he was hitting home to parents. We have some materials that we will continue to share with parents about ways that they can help keep their kids safe through social media. Russ then did present at Hayes High November 7th. He also went to TMP. We had talked to the administration at TMP, and so we worked together collaboratively on that. Can't say that very well. We did have, that was the morning that we had the gas leak and we had to evacuate the middle school, so he was not able to address our middle school students, but we are hoping to get him back. There are actually some church groups who heard about his message and may bring him back, so hopefully we can get our middle schoolers at Hayes Middle School to hear him as well. So that's been a good thing that's happened here recently. And then we also want to thank the Alpha Delta Kappa. They have again made a donation to our Hope Pantry in the amount of $200. And we have some teachers, retired and current, who belong to that, so we can't thank them enough for their donation because we have lots of families in need. I know Sarah asked about Thanksgiving boxes, and it's pretty overwhelming the number that buildings say as far as families that could use some help. So We want to thank them. And then Sue Ellen Stanger, our Hayes High counselor, one of the 3, was named the Hayes Post Teacher of the Month. So we want to congratulate her. She serves as a counselor. Prior to that, she was a music and band director. It talks about here how over the time as a teacher, she witnessed several students who had tragedies, and so she became a counselor to better help them through those personal tragedies and things like that. So we truly appreciate all she does here for 489, and this was a very deserving award for her. I think that is it.
Okay. Do you have anything to add for the report of the superintendent?
Yes, I wanted to add, as OLaughlin mentioned, that there was a lot that happened in October with anti-bullying. So they mentioned how they used their Eagle Morning News. They had some student interviews. They had some random acts of kindness that they encouraged students to do as well. That was at OLaughlin. Wilson Elementary as well. They have a superhero theme all throughout the year, so they're really focusing on their superheroes defeating bullying with kindness and caring, so it's ongoing. But to celebrate the anti-bullying and Red Ribbon Week, they had some spirit days. They dressed up. That was that short week we had off for conferences, and their 3rd graders will be making some anti-bullying, pro-kindness posters for the hallway. So if you're at Wilson, you might check those out. Hayes Middle School had a Unity Day. They had an all-school assembly. They wore orange. That is the Unity color. And then they brought in some past students, Isaiah Blackman and Hayden Kreitzer, who spoke to the middle school student body about being upstanders and leaders in the community. So that was really done well, and I know that they felt good about that and feel like it made an impact with their students. Wednesday is early release. OLaughlin mentioned that they will be working on their KISA action plan, and that really is the focus this week during early release. Buildings are working on their building goals and action plans, and then they'll share as a district. We'll take a look at all those, and then we'll be able to look at, from a district systems perspective, what our goal areas will be and where we will be focusing and moving forward. We will also be having some training this Wednesday on early release for our paras. A lot of times we feel like, or they feel like, we can't forget they have a huge integral part in working with students, so we wanted to make sure we intentionally train them. So Kyle Carlin will be working with them on some CHAMS and positive behavior, because again, they work so directly with those students, so it's important that we train them as well. Hayes Area Children's Center is coming up with a fundraising event. Just to put a plug in for that, the Bright Lights for Little Tykes, that will be November 17th. They'll have dueling pianos. It'll be at the VF in Hayes starting at 6 o'clock. So tickets are available through the Hayes Area Children's Center. You saw a lot of our buildings did something for our veterans, so we want to thank all of our veterans, especially those on staff, but in the community and everywhere, for their service. If you didn't see last week's performance of the musical, you missed out. They did an amazing job with Bright Star. It was the first time it debuted in Kansas, so that was exciting. Even with one of the main characters getting hurt Wednesday night and pulling someone up, you wouldn't have believed it. I mean, it went seamless. So kudos to everyone involved with that, and I know the director, it's his first year, but he did an amazing job. Hayes High will actually be hosting the Western Kansas Orchestra Festival this Friday as well, so school will dismiss a little bit early at Hayes High, so we have a lot going on in the music department. So that's Friday at Hayes High. And then winter sports began today, hard to believe. And then again, I did mention earlier about that gas leak at the middle school, which kept the assembly from happening. But I do want to thank everyone who worked together on that. That was a difficult time. It's kind of neat to have an evacuation when school's dropping off, because that's typically not when we practice our drills. So everybody who stepped up and did their job, I know we got an email from a parent, I think as well as you, for the nurses making sure medication, just things like that. And I know parents worry, so I just want to thank everyone at the middle school and in all of our schools that we really do try to take care of the kids, and that's our first and top priority. So thanks to everyone who helped with that. I think that's all.
I do want to say that I was somewhere where there were several other middle school parents, and that they appreciated the updates every 10 to 15 minutes, that so they knew like whether they needed to leave to go get their kid or if their kid was okay. So I know you guys didn't have a lot to report in those increments, but just letting them know that the children were still safe, they were really appreciative of that. So
Good. That's good to hear. Feedback, good or bad, we need to hear, because again, we need to learn from every incident. But yes.
Yeah, I do think some of the kids were trying to tell their parents, oh yeah, come get me.
Oh, yeah. I was manning the phones, and then when the secretaries came back, I said, I don't want your job. You guys do amazing things. But yeah, some parents said, too, should I come pick them up? I said, oh, no. You just leave them here. We'll follow up with a message. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did have a couple parents tell me, oh my kid kept telling me that I need to come get him, and I was like, I haven't got that call yet.
Exactly. We're glad that wasn't the call. It was taken care of, so that's good.
Great. All right, thanks, Shanna. All right, next thing is the consent agenda, approval of consent agenda to include the board meeting minutes from October 22nd, 2018, the special board meeting minutes from November 1, 2018, the approval of bills in the amount of $2,522,766.45, personnel transactions, the approval of resolution and petition for admission to a regional system of cooperating libraries, and the financial reports with the clerk's report and investment report. Have a motion to.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Board Member Schwartz, seconded by Board Member Adams. Is there any discussion?
That approval for the resolution and petition for admission to the regional system of cooperating libraries, is there any
No, Sarah had that in my items to be signed here.
charges or anything? Or?
There is no fee for that. It's just an agreement to
Yeah.
continue to receive
Just
the
a one-page.
complimentary services they provide.
Yeah.
Okay, just wasn't familiar with it.
Any other questions? Call for the vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes 7-0. Moving on to old business, the Early Childhood Connections Head Start renovation timeline.
Right, we shared this last month, and then there was some feedback to add a few dates. So I know John worked with Sarah. We added the appraisal date, which happened last Friday. Yes, it would have been Friday. I don't have that information. I don't know if it's been passed on yet. I know John will probably follow up this Friday when he's back. So we'll make sure he follows up and shares that. And then tentatively, we're looking at that week after we get back from Thanksgiving, where the process for ensuring that conference. So those were the dates the information that was asked, so that was added for you.
I do know that Sarah called me earlier with Nicole, and they were asking for checks to be cut for title and all that, and I said that I didn't want those done until we had the appraisal.
Okay,
so.
yes, good.
And I didn't sign any of John had contracts too, and I didn't sign those until we have the appraisal either, so.
Yeah, he mentioned that.
How would you sign the contracts, because nobody's authorized you to do that yet? I mean, that's my concern. Nowhere on the timeline is the approval and the signing of it, or the authorization before the signing of the contracts.
Bill, I know he's been working with you.
I thought those were approved at a prior meeting.
When?
I thought they were approved at a prior meeting to go ahead and
I don't think so.
go forward
To
with the purchase.
negotiate them.
Well, if they haven't been approved, then no, they can't be signed until they're approved.
Okay. So we will have that on the board meeting on the 26th.
Okay.
Okay.
And there are a number of contingencies built into those contracts. Among others, that we have to sign contracts and close on all the units. It has to appraise out.
We'll have it on the,
And if a successful petition is
Right.
filed, then we can get out of the contracts too. Because that'll affect the timing of getting it done.
so we'll have it on the agenda on the 26th. I don't think the petition deadline, Sarah, though, is till when? It's right here, I
I
guess.
believe it's the 25th of November.
Okay. So we can add it to old business on the 26th. Any other information you will need or are wanting?
Yeah, maybe, you talked about the contract with all the provisions and FISOs. And maybe I've missed it. Have we seen that?
I don't believe so.
Have you seen what?
Has that contract been shared with this board?
That's what you'll approve at the next board meeting. So I assume it'll come out, those will come out with the agenda.
Okay, that's what I wanted to be sure. Because I know we've talked several things along the line. I just wanted to be sure we do. All right, thank you.
Any other questions for Shanna on that, or Bill?
Will they have anything as far as on those contracts that are presented at the next deal too? I'm curious because I know several of them, just in looking back through a lot of this, it's amazing. I know there were some done in February, and the other ones, the amount that those contracts grew in that amount of time is startling as well. I'm curious if there'll be some information as to why the price jump on some of those as well, from what I've heard from several places.
From when we started the process, you mean?
In February.
Till now?
Yeah.
Okay.
There were some substantial jumps on some of those contracts, so I'd be curious to hear what the rationale for that was.
Anything else?
Moving on to new business, we have the superintendent search, and I believe Sarah has forwarded us the firms and their pricing for assistance with that search. You have 2, is that correct, that you've heard back from?
There are 3. One is quite a bit more than the other 2 firms. So.
These are 3 when we look at who other districts are using, or some that are being used across the state of Kansas, but they do vary in price and some of the services. So Sarah reached out, and
Junction City, I think, is using Ray and Associates.
Is using who? I'm sorry?
Junction City is using
that's
Ray
like
and Associates.
8 times. Yeah,
Well, and
notably higher.
within the materials, it talks about what schools, Kansas schools they've serviced, so you can look through that and see who's had some experience with some of them. So I know it's a new business item. If you have any questions, we can try to follow up and get you more information, or if you just need time, it would be, I don't think November 26th is too early to decide.
I was
and
just
get
going to
something
ask you that.
posted.
What would be your preferred, do we need to get this out before the holidays?
Yes, because that would be a very opportune time for anyone looking to do that over the holiday break. So I'm hoping November 26th you can take action. I think we have one board meeting in December then, Sarah, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So at the very latest that date, because there are some searches already open and people are starting to look. So the sooner the better, in my opinion.
Okay. I think we should be able to do that on the 26th.
Okay.
So if we were to take action on the 26th, do we know the timeline is that we could meet with whatever group we choose in December to get them started?
We could definitely look at that, yes. Unless you want some of them to come
I don't-
on the 26th.
Yeah.
That's up to you.
Did we have to meet with some last time we did this, or did we just give them what we were looking for? I don't remember meeting with
I
them.
think we met some with KSB Earlings. It was more to come talk to us about what are the trades you want. We were sure they were
I
searching.
remember a meeting like that before they started.
Yeah, but
so
we
they
had
could
picked
show
them at
their
that
findings.
point, right?
Yeah. Yes.
That allowed them to narrow down and probably do a little headhunting for somebody that's compatible with us.
Yeah. And you were right, Mandy. That was after we had selected.
Yes, I think
That's
once
what
you
I'm talking
select
about,
them,
is in December meeting, if we want to
Yeah,
get
yes.
them started after we do the 26th.
right, then they'll get it posted, then they can come back and start their process.
Because I think there's
there
definitely some
anything
things we had to do.
that you guys didn't like about ASB?
I didn't have any complaints.
I really didn't either. I was, I won't use the word surprised. I mean, obviously that was a new experience. And I think the money was well spent, the way they put everything together, the way they took what we were looking for, and then found that in the selection of candidates for us. I wouldn't want to be the person going through all the candidates and trying to do that.
How many candidates were there last time?
I think they gave us a list to start with of, I want to say like,
16.
yeah, it was
16.
and then we trimmed it down to 5 or something like that. 6?
I think the list that we got, I think was 16.
Because they did an initial vetting on 17 for candidates.
And then we interviewed 5.
Yes, so they do focus groups, and they'll do teachers and community and get characteristics, but then they do some of the screening process, but then just to help eliminate that process for you all, because you've given them the characteristics who they feel are the best match. Now you have access to any of the candidates if you feel like there's one that you want to pull out, but then they will schedule the top ones and get the interviews and bring them in for a visit and all that.
Can we put stipulation that they have to stay longer than 3 years?
Yeah, really.
And try not to do it during a tornado.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, we were in
That
that.
was,
That's right.
that was a good time.
To avoid tornado season. Yeah.
We're like in this hallway up here is the storm shelter. That's awesome.
So do we have any additional information about KSB? We don't. I don't know anything about one of the others.
I think McPherson and Jacobson we've looked at before. I really don't have any experience with any of them. Now, there were some schools listed, so if there's someone you want us to reach out to, we definitely can do that. McPherson, that one, I find it in here, there were quite a list of Kansas districts that they,
Good thing, though.
yeah, to go.
Let's see, Alderman, Chapman, Bourbon. Burns, Kappa, East, yeah.
That's what Kansas is listed on. There we go. Greg ran those off, so Greg was- And the Associates was the one that I know Geary County's working with.
Where are they based out of?
Iowa.
Iowa?
They specialize in multi-state searches.
These are so much different for that one group. It might be interesting to call Geary County and see how things go. Does it say when that was? I can't.
Well, Geary County is now. They
Oh, so
have
it is going on.
their, yes.
Okay.
And El Dorado's working, they may have the McPherson, I can't remember. I looked at who they have, some of them are posted already. And maybe El Dorado that's using them, or McPherson is. Do you want us to reach out to some of these schools? I mean, that's definitely something we can,
I haven't heard of it.
I can
Really
do.
close in price points. It'd be interesting
Sure.
to see what they do differently. I mean, we've gone through KASB several times. It'd be interesting to hear a different perspective as far as I would assume they do things possibly a little differently than KASB.
well, and especially those that used them most recently. They have the years after, and I'm assuming that's what those years are, so Ottawa.
Does KASB look outside of, Sarah, you said was it McPherson you said that specializes in multi-state?
That's the Ray
Oh, Ray.
and Associates.
Okay.
I think that's why their cost is more significant because of advertising.
Gotcha.
Right.
But yeah, all the information is there. I can reach out to some of the schools that have used all of them or both of them and share what I learn with you all.
Yeah, please.
Yes, one question. I'd be curious about the pools, and I think that's a hard control. Greater diversity of candidates.
Okay, sure.
Because I think we get getting stereotypical Caucasian male, I'd like to be able to be sure that the pool we come from is more diverse than just that. Female. No, maybe.
I can ask.
Okay.
Anything else for that, on that for Shanna? All right, moving on to discussion by board members and agenda requests. I do have one. In light of our recent mediation and all of everything that's taken place, I know Greg has mentioned or suggested that we look at our bus drivers and our cooks and all those other classified staff that were recently impacted and see where we are at competitively with their wages. And so if you guys can pull together that information and not, as Greg said, not comparing it from one district to another, but in Hayes, if those people are looking for other employment, what the going rate is. As we're finishing up some of these negotiations and contracts, I want to make sure that we have that information and we're doing what's right and fair for them as well.
We'll see what we can pull together. And then I do believe the teachers will vote or ratify Wednesday, the early release is how I understand, since they have some time. So that will be on the agenda then as well.
That's why I would like this, because I know that
time.
they're gonna want to answer on that question
Sure.
fairly soon too.
So really,
And some updated budget numbers on if the teachers do ratify what we tentatively agreed to last week, where that puts us as far as the budget and salaries and things like that, what we have remaining.
All right.
Does anybody have anything else for? I don't believe we need an executive session tonight, do we? I think we've had quite enough of that lately. So, all right.
Start looking at each other.
Anything else? Do I need a motion to adjourn? I was going to say, I'm never down here. We always just come from executive session.
How does this work?
Gotcha. Meeting adjourned. I was like, we're always coming out of executive session, so I never know.